The day my husband fell to his knees begging for me wasn't the day I discovered his betrayal. It was the day I discovered what he was really hiding. And what I saw made the mistress look like the smallest problem of all. My name is Angel Rivera, and I was that idiot who believed in fairy tales. Daniel Cole was the perfect husband. At least that's what he sold. Smiles. Hugs. I love you every night. I left notes in his bag. Cooked his favorite dishes. Massaged his back. Gave myself completely while he built a secret life. But a woman always knows. Always. Phone turned face down. Password changed for no reason. Coming home late from work, but without that real exhaustion in his eyes. And that perfume. That damn perfume that wasn't mine. The night everything ended, he came home, kissed my forehead like a stranger, and went straight to the shower. Left his phone on the bed. A message lit up the screen. A single line that destroyed years of my life. Last night was unforgettable. When can I see you again? I miss you already.
Camila.
My hands froze. The world stopped. And while the water fell in the shower, I unlocked his phone with his fingerprint. And in seconds I saw everything. Messages. Photos. Trips he never took with me. Voice notes where he called her beautiful. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't one drunk night.
It was a second life.
A life where I simply didn't exist. When he came out of the bathroom and saw me with his phone in my hand, his face lost all color. Angel, please, I can explain. You don't need to, I answered. I already understand everything. I packed my suitcase while he cried. While he promised worlds he should have promised before betraying me. And when I walked out the door, I looked at him one last time. You destroyed something that will never exist again. The first week was hell. I barely slept, barely ate. I looked in the mirror searching for the flaw that made him choose someone else. Until my sister Sophia held my face and said something that saved me. He didn't cheat because you weren't enough. He cheated because something in him was broken. I started therapy with Dr. Elena, went back to the gym, cut my hair, changed my wardrobe, rebuilt myself from scratch. And slowly, painfully, beautifully, I was reborn. Stronger, freer, without needing him to breathe. And that's exactly when he came back. 2 weeks after the separation. Knock on the door. He was there, crying so hard he could barely speak. Swore he ended things with Camila. Promised therapy, honesty, devotion. And when I didn't respond, he dropped to his knees. But the woman he was begging for didn't exist anymore. I looked at him and said, "Get up. I'm not your second chance." And I closed the door. But here's where everything changes. Where nobody expects what's coming. 3 months passed. I was better. Laughing again. Living again. And then came the last knock on the door. Not desperate. Quiet. Almost resigned. Daniel was there.
No flowers. No excuses.
Just a letter. And a trembling voice. You deserve to know the truth before it's too late. I opened it. And the ground disappeared from under my feet. Medical reports. Tests. Images. A diagnosis. Not mine. His. A degenerative heart condition.
Rare. Silent.
Progressive. The kind that steals years without warning. And then he said the words that broke me in a way betrayal never could. I didn't cheat on you because I stopped loving you, Angel. I cheated because I was terrified of you wasting your life loving someone who might not have one. He tried to push me away so I wouldn't have to watch him fall apart. Thought hurting me now would spare me from greater pain later. It was wrong. Horrible. Unforgivable. But brutally human. For the first time, I didn't see a liar. I saw a man drowning in fear. But I didn't go back. Not because I hated him, but because healing taught me the greatest lesson life ever gave me. Loving someone doesn't mean losing yourself. And losing someone doesn't mean losing your future. Daniel started treatment. I wished him well. Truly. And life, unexpectedly, guided me towards someone who treated me with kindness, respect, patience. Liam Walker. A man who didn't try to replace my past, but helped me believe in a future. And that's the truth behind my story. Not just betrayal, not just pain, but fear.
Healing.
And finally, freedom. Because sometimes the real twist isn't that they hurt you. It's understanding why. And choosing yourself anyway. But that's not where my story ends. Because 3 years later, something happened that made me question everything I thought I knew about Daniel, about Camila, and about the truth I had accepted. 3 years after Daniel and I separated, I had built the life I was proud of. I was thriving in my career as a graphic designer, had moved into a beautiful apartment overlooking the city, and yes, Liam was still in my life. He was everything Daniel wasn't. Patient. Present.
Honest.
Or so I thought. Everyone in my past had taught me the value of honesty. I hadn't spoken to Daniel in over 2 years. Last I heard through mutual friends, his treatment was going well. He had moved to another state. Started fresh. I was genuinely happy for him. The anger had faded into something softer. Not forgiveness exactly, but acceptance.
Peace.
Then one Tuesday afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? A woman's voice. Shaking. Desperate. Ángel Rivera? Yes, I said, my stomach already tightening. Who is this? There was a long pause.
Then.
My name is Camila Torres. I think we need to talk. The world tilted.
Camila.
The woman who had been the face of my nightmare for so long. The name that had appeared on that devastating message 3 years ago. My first instinct was to hang up. Block the number. Forget this call ever happened. But something in her voice stopped me. It wasn't smug. It wasn't cruel. It was terrified. I don't know if you'll believe me, she continued, her words tumbling out fast. And I don't blame you if you hate me. But I need to tell you something about Daniel. Something he made me promise I'd never tell anyone. But he's gone now, and I can't carry this alone anymore.
Gone?
My heart stopped. What do you mean gone? He died, Angel. 2 weeks ago. The heart condition. It finally took him. The phone almost slipped from my hand. Daniel was dead. The man I had loved. The man I had hated. The man I had finally made peace with.
Gone. I'm sorry, Camila whispered.
I know this must be a shock. But there's more. And you need to hear it.
Can we meet?
Please? Every logical part of my brain screamed no. This woman had been part of the worst period of my life. Why would I voluntarily sit across from her? But grief does strange things to logic. And underneath the old pain, curiosity burned. 1 hour, I said. There's a coffee shop on Main Street. I'll be there at 4. She was already sitting in the corner when I arrived. I recognized her immediately from the photos I had seen on Daniel's phone all those years ago. But she looked different now. Thinner. Older. Tired in a way that had nothing to do with lack of sleep. Thank you for coming, she said as I sat down. I wasn't sure you would. I didn't respond. Just waited. She took a deep breath. Everything you thought you knew about Daniel and me, she began, was a lie. Not a partial lie. Not an exaggeration. A complete, deliberate lie. I felt my jaw tighten. If you're about to tell me the affair wasn't real, save your breath. I saw the messages. The photos. His own words. It was real, she said quietly. But not in the way you think. She pulled out her phone and slid it across the table. On the screen was a document. A contract. As I read, my blood turned cold. It was an agreement between Daniel Cole and Camila Torres. Dated 1 month before I found that first message. The terms were simple and horrifying. Camila would pose as Daniel's mistress. Send messages. Take photos. Create evidence of an affair. In exchange, Daniel would pay her $50,000. I don't understand, I whispered. Why would he pay someone to fake an affair? Why would he want me to think he cheated? Because, Camila said, tears now streaming down her face, he was dying, Angel. And he loved you so much it was killing him faster than the disease. The doctors gave him 2 years, maybe 3 if he was lucky. And he couldn't bear the thought of you spending those years watching him deteriorate. Sacrificing your youth, your dreams, your future. This doesn't make sense, I said, my voice rising. He told me about the heart condition. After I left, he explained everything. Exactly, Camila said. That was phase 2 of his plan. He needed you to leave him first, to hate him enough that you'd actually stay gone. But he also knew you'd blame yourself. Wonder what you did wrong. So he gave you the medical truth as a parting gift. Not the whole truth. Just enough to let you stop hating yourself. But you, I said, staring at her. Why would you agree to this? She looked down at her hands. I was desperate. 3 years ago, my daughter was diagnosed with leukemia. 7 years old. The treatment costs were destroying us. I was drowning in medical debt. About to lose our apartment. When Daniel approached me with this offer, I thought he was insane. But he explained everything. Showed me your photo. Told me about how much he loved you. How this was the only way he could set you free. He said the money didn't matter to him anymore. He had no family. No kids. And he'd rather see it save a child's life than sit in a bank account he'd never use. So, I agreed. I became the villain in your story, so you could have a happy ending in someone else's. The coffee shop spun around me. Every memory recontextualized. Every moment of anger and betrayal suddenly hollow. He paid someone to destroy our marriage. To make me hate him. To set me free. But there's more, Camila said softly. And this is why I had to find you. She pulled out an envelope.
Thick. Sealed.
Your name handwritten on the front in Daniel's familiar script. He gave this to me a year ago. Made me promise I'd only give it to you if he died. And that I'd tell you everything first, so you'd understand. I stared at the envelope like it might explode. What is it?
I don't know, she said.
He never told me. But he said it was important. Said it was the last gift he could give you. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a letter. Several pages. And a legal document. I started reading. My dearest Angel, if you're reading this, then I'm gone. And Camila has hopefully found the courage to tell you the truth. I made her hide.
I know you're angry right now. Confused.
Maybe disgusted by what I did. And you have every right to be. What I did was manipulative. Selfish in its selflessness. But I need you to understand something. Watching you love me was the most beautiful experience of my life. And watching you prepare to waste that love on a dying man was unbearable. You would have stayed. I know you would have. You would have held my hand through every hospital visit, every bad day, every step toward the inevitable end. You would have sacrificed years of your life becoming my caretaker instead of living your own story. And I couldn't let that happen. So yes, I hired Camila. Created a betrayal so painful you'd have no choice but to leave. Gave you a villain to hate, so you wouldn't hate yourself. And then, when I saw you starting to rebuild, I told you about the disease. Not to win you back, but to give you closure. To let you understand it was never about you not being enough. I've watched you from afar these past 3 years. Don't be alarmed. I'm not a stalker. Just a man who couldn't help checking your social media sometimes.
Seeing you smile again.
Seeing you with Liam. Seeing you become the person you were always meant to be. That was worth everything. Worth the loneliness. Worth dying alone. Worth knowing you'd hate me forever if you ever learned the truth. But here's what I need you to know, Angel. The money I paid Camila? That was money I'd been saving for our future.
For the house we talked about buying.
The children we planned to have. The life we were building. When the doctors told me that future was gone, I had a choice. Let that money sit unused, a monument to dreams that would never happen. Or use it to save a little girl's life and set you free in the process. I chose the latter. And I'd choose it again. 1,000 times. The legal document you see attached to this letter is the deed to a property. A small house upstate. The one we looked at together 5 years ago. You loved it. The garden. The fireplace. The view of the mountains. You said it was where you could imagine growing old. I bought it 3 months before my diagnosis. Was going to surprise you on our anniversary. It's yours now. Paid in full.
No strings.
No conditions. Whether you keep it, sell it, or burn it to the ground, that choice is yours. But I wanted you to have it. Wanted you to know that every dream I had was about building a future for you. Even when I knew I wouldn't be in it. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even deserve understanding. But I hope someday, when the anger fades, you'll see that everything I did came from a love so complete it had to destroy itself to keep from destroying you. Live beautifully, Angel. Love fearlessly. And know that somewhere, in whatever comes after this, I'm cheering for every happiness you find. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. And letting you go was the hardest and most loving thing I ever did. Forever yours. Even in absence. Daniel. I couldn't breathe.
Couldn't think.
Couldn't process. 3 years of healing. Of moving forward. Of building a life beyond betrayal. And now this. The truth that shattered everything again.
I'm sorry, Camila whispered.
I know this is overwhelming, but he wanted you to know. Wanted you to understand. I looked up at her. Your daughter. Is she okay? Camila smiled through tears. She's in remission. 2 years cancer-free. Because of him. We sat in silence for a long time. 2 women connected by a man who loved so devastatingly he orchestrated his own villainy. Finally, I spoke.
Thank you for telling me.
For giving me this. She nodded. He was a good man, Angel. A broken, desperate, terrified man who made terrible choices out of beautiful intentions. But a good man. After she left, I sat alone with the letter. Read it again. And again. Searching for anger. For betrayal. For something to hold on to. But all I felt was crushing, overwhelming grief. Not for the man who cheated, but for the man who never did. That evening, I told Liam everything. Showed him the letter.
The deed.
The impossible truth. He held me while I cried. Didn't offer solutions. Didn't try to fix it. Just held space for the complexity of loving someone who hurt you to protect you. What are you going to do? He finally asked. I don't know, I whispered. But I think I need to see it. The house. I think I need to understand what he saw when he imagined our future. The next weekend, Liam drove me upstate. The house was exactly as I remembered. Maybe a little more weathered. A little more wild. But still beautiful. Still the place I had once imagined forever. We walked through empty rooms filled with ghosts of possibilities. A kitchen where I might have cooked breakfast. A bedroom where we might have whispered secrets. A garden where children might have played. All the futures that would never happen. But standing there, I realized something. Daniel was right. If I had known the truth 3 years ago, I would have stayed. Would have devoted myself to caring for him. Would have put my life on pause for his ending. And I would have called it love. But what I have now, the life I've built, the person I've become, that's love too. Self-love. Hard-won and precious. Daniel's final gift wasn't the house. It was the freedom to choose myself. I decided to keep the property. Not as a shrine to what was lost, but as a reminder of what was gained. A place to visit when I needed to remember that sometimes the most loving thing someone can do is let you go. 3 months later, I received one final piece of the puzzle. A letter from Daniel's attorney. In his will, he'd left instructions for a trust fund. Not for me, but for Camila's daughter. To cover her medical expenses for life. To ensure that the little girl who unwittingly played a part in his plan would never suffer for it. Even in death, he was protecting people. Making sure his choices didn't create more victims. It was infuriating and heartbreaking, and somehow perfectly Daniel. Liam and I got engaged a year later. We're planning a small wedding. Nothing extravagant. Just the people we love and the life we're building together. And yes, sometimes I think about Daniel. About the sacrifice he made. The loneliness he endured. The love that consumed itself to set me free. I forgive him. Not because what he did was right, but because I finally understand the impossible position he was in. Loving someone so much that destroying their love for you feels like mercy. It's twisted. It's tragic. It's very human. And the real plot twist? The one that keeps me up at night sometimes? It's that I'm grateful. Grateful for the betrayal that wasn't real. Grateful for the pain that forced me to rebuild. Grateful for the ending that gave me a new beginning. Daniel orchestrated the destruction of our marriage. And in doing so, he saved my life. That's the truth nobody tells you about heartbreak. Sometimes the person who breaks you is also the person who frees you. Sometimes the worst thing that ever happened to you is also the best thing. And sometimes, the greatest act of love is having the courage to become the villain in someone else's story so they can be the hero in their own. My name is Angel Rivera, and this is the story of how my husband's betrayal was actually his greatest act of love. How the worst pain of my life led to the best version of myself. And how sometimes the real happy ending is the one you never saw coming. Because in the end, Daniel didn't just give me a house. He gave me myself. And that's a gift worth every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of grief and confusion and rage. He loved me enough to let me hate him. And now I love myself enough to honor that sacrifice by living the life he died wanting me to have. That's the real twist. Not that he was sick. Not that the affair was fake. But that the greatest love story of my life was the one that ended so I could begin.